Today I want to talk about piano technique, efficiency of motion, having a good legato, and a good tone on the piano. My first warm-up when I sit down at the piano is I put all 5 fingers down, seated G on both hands. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about my posture and my weight. First thing is I'm going to make sure that my shoulders are completely relaxed, my arms are relaxed. I am not holding up my arms by anything but the tips of my fingers. So the tips of my fingers are supporting the weight of my entire arm. This requires the fingers to be strong. The next thing I'm going to see is that I cannot have any joints of my fingers collapsed like this. Every finger, all the joints have to be round, the same way as if you were grabbing a tennis ball or a baseball. I'm not going to have my wrist artificially high or artificially low. All the weight of my arm is distributed evenly between my 5 fingers, which if it wasn't for the key bed, my finger would just go straight to the floor. So the first thing I want to do is just establish that feeling. Never have any fingers dangling off the edge of the key. I always have my thumbs deep into the key so that any one of these keys, any one of these fingers could absorb by themselves the weight of my whole arm. But right now, they're equally distributed among all 5 fingers. So what you can do is make sure your shoulders are relaxed. Maybe swing your elbows a little bit so you feel the tips of your fingers as kind of the fulcrum of the weight. Maybe bob your wrists up and down a little bit just to get that feeling of the sense of all your weight being suspended by the tips of your fingers, and that none of your joints, your finger joints, are collapsing like this. Easier than it seems, more difficult than it seems. Now, while we're depressing all 5 fingers, I'm going to slowly raise one note at a time, not lifting the finger above the key like this, but when I've let the key come up, my finger is still resting on top of the key. So anytime I play the piano, whatever I play, my finger is already on the key, and then I'm just letting the weight of my arm push that key down. This gets rid of a really harsh sound by stabbing the note. So let's just hold all 5 fingers down and just quietly lift the C up and down without lifting the key above, without lifting the finger above the key, while you keep all the other fingers down. And don't let any other finger come up. Now the D. And do this as many times or as slowly as you want. So we're creating finger independence. If you see, if while you're doing this, some other finger crops up involuntarily, not good. Shake it out, relax your fingers, and then start again, and do it even slower. Another aspect of this exercise, we can play forte, piano, anything that gives us a sense of how much weight we need to get the sound we want and the dynamics we want out of each note by just pressing the note down and letting the note come up. All right, shake it out. Now after we've done that, all these exercises we're going to do in all keys, by the way. But now we've done that, now we're back where we started, and we're going to do a series of 4 scales between C and G, very slowly. First, major. Again, no need to lift the finger off of the key. Just feel the key come up. Make sure you're not using this muscle. You're not holding up your arm and just wiggling your fingers. That's kind of the antithesis of what we're going for here. We want from here up to be entirely relaxed, and we're holding up our whole arm with just our fingertips. Okay. Now I'm going to do minor. Now I'm going to do the dominant scale of the next key. I'm going to go to D flat major, so now I'm playing a D flat major scale, or A flat 7, starting on C. See how that's the scale of D flat major? So we did major, minor, then the key half a step up. And now the next one is going to be whole tone. And that's going to put us right into position to the next key, D flat major. Minor, D major, whole tone, D major, D minor, E flat major, whole tone, E flat major, etc. All the way till we get back to 1. All right, so that's the exercise, and I guarantee you will feel it. And once we've done this exercise, the whole idea is to feel the weight of our arm into our fingertip. Now, once you've done that, when you play a scale, and apply that same feeling, you should have the weight of your entire arm being held up by just each finger, the only finger that's depressed. And while we're doing this, from one note to the next, we're dropping all the weight that we had on our thumb onto the next finger. So now this finger is supporting the whole weight of my arm. And I'm not going to stab that next note. I'm just going to rest my finger on the note, and I'm going to transfer all the weight that's now being held up by this finger onto this finger. I'm just going to drop. And this is what gives you the best legato possible. We want to play with legato. And even when we accent, that has nothing to do with legato. It's still legato. Now, we're going to apply that to scale movement as well. As you know, when you walk and you go from one step to the next, when one foot is down, you don't lift up your other foot pick it up into the air, and stomp down and walk like that. That's like marching. So when you walk, you have all your weight on one foot, and as you move your next leg forward, you transfer all the weight of your body smoothly from one leg onto the other. And if you water ski or snow ski, this is also the same type of process of transferring weight from one foot to the other. So this should be the same feel, transferring the weight of our arm from one finger to the next. So by practicing scales really slow, the only thing that should be going on in our hand is the transfer of weight from one finger to the next. That means that any other finger that is not in use at that moment should be entirely quiet, dead, shot with Novocaine, unable to do anything. There should be no extraneous motion or involuntary muscle activity. It doesn't do anything for you. It's a bad habit. So we play slowly enough, we can catch these things when they happen and ask ourselves, why are we doing that and what can we do to prevent it? Another example is, let's say when we have wide intervals. Let's say I have to do consecutive fourths. It would be foolish and really kind of harmful to our hand if we had to play this, that we extended all our fingers in advance. Because as you know, if you do this for more than a couple of seconds, you will realize that you are pulling on these tendons quite unnecessarily. Any extension, this is the most natural position. There's nothing going on. But any extension of any finger or all the fingers is tugging on those tendons in our forearm. And if you do that long enough and often enough, you are going to have problems. You're going to lock up, you're going to have muscle fatigue. So economy of motion is what we're after here. So if you only have to play these notes one at a time, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't keep that neutral, dead position as your default position at all time. There's no stress here whatsoever. So if I'm playing one note at a time, that one note should be the fulcrum of supporting the weight for the whole arm in that note. And then when I go to play the next note, yes, I have to stretch momentarily to get to that next note, after which I drop all the weight onto that next note. And again, all the other fingers are completely relaxed and dead. Then I extend to the next note and I transfer all the weight onto the next note. And each time I transfer the weight to a new finger, all the other fingers swing around so that my whole hand is dead again except for the note that's supporting the weight. Much different than doing this and extending all these fingers. So whatever it is that you're playing, your hand should be, this is what I call small. You should be small all the time. There's no reason to have an extended hand with fingers outstretched for no reason. This also has to do with intelligent fingering. using the fingers that give you the most control to execute the line that you want to play with the most control. If you're playing a lick or a line and your finger almost fell off the key, or one note didn't come out the way you wanted, that's not good enough. You have to play it again, and you have to find the optimum fingering for whatever it is you want to play. That may involve using your thumb more often. If you play, this is why playing classical repertoire is so useful and informative for the jazz musician, because all the classical repertoire is written perfectly for the piano, for the hand, physically for the fingers, for the human hand to execute. And the best possible fingering is always there. The composer gave great consideration to how anything that he wrote will be able to be executed to express what it is he wants to. So if you play a lot of Bach, you've learned a lot of tricks and a lot of ways to do two different things melodically in your hand at the same time. Sometimes that means crossing over your fifth finger with your fourth, or with your third finger, or using your thumb more often than you would. You should never be going up a scale and use your fifth finger and realize, uh-oh, I don't have any more fingers. What am I going to do? If only I had put my thumb under on the way up, I would have more fingers left. That's kind of like a duh moment. You got to think about these things, and everything comes from wanting to be better, wanting to make what you play sound better, be fingered and executed with the utmost efficiency and control. Here's another way of strengthening those fingers. Let's put our fingers into a diminished seventh chord. And see if you can just trill two different notes at a time while holding all the other fingers down. No other fingers are coming up except the ones that I'm playing. My shoulder is relaxed. Next key, same thing, all keys. This is a great warm-up. Another exercise I do to even out my scales. We know when we play a 7-note scale, a major scale, for example, we put our thumb under twice, whatever scale it is. Every 7-note major minor scale is a combination of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's easy, but what takes up the most time and physical motion is getting our thumb pivoting around and then getting between these two groups. So the smart choice is, instead of playing in tempo, is not to wait into the very last split second to say, oh my God, I got to get my thumb from C to F. I don't have enough time. And try and make a mad dash for it. If we think ahead, as soon as we've gotten off that thumb, see my thumb? It's already making its way to the next destination. Here, so that by the time I'm playing E, my thumb is already there. So there's the movement of the thumb, but then there's also, once we play the thumb, the hand has to pivot from where it was before to where it is now, right? So here is, and we're here. How fast can we move this place from here to here? So we have to practice super slow-mo for us to address those things, so we teach ourselves to actually make those movements faster than the tempo that we're playing. Those things have to happen in an independent timing than the actual tempo of the notes that we're playing. Move, thumb, thumb. Once I go from here to here, I swing around and I'm ready. It's kind of a snapping type of motion. All right? So, knowing that there's a lot of more physical movement here surrounding the thumb, I am going to drill my scale in little bits. And what I like to do is I do a 5-note consecutive drill up by thirds. And this takes 2 octaves to reach the top. Back down. Etc., etc. So what I'm listening for is the scale even? Is it just as even and smooth in every single part of the scale? I'm not ignoring any part of the scale. I'm making sure that every little group of it is tight. You can do triplets, etc. What you have to, this only works is if you keep the fingering consistent. You have to use the correct fingering. If you change the fingering, it's all messed up. So if you know your proper scale fingering, C major, thumb is on C and F in the right hand, G and C in the left hand. So I do that. That's another warm-up. That's enough for today. So start out your practice session by just resting all 5 fingers on C, D, E, F, G. Make sure none of your joints are collapsing, your shoulder is relaxed, your arms are relaxed, you're holding up your whole arm by your fingertips. Don't lift the key, don't lift the finger above the key, it's not necessary. Be able to keep all the fingers depressed except the ones that you're playing. Major, minor, half step, whole step, etc., etc. You can even do thirds. You can do three against two if you're so adventurous. But that's my idea of having a good sound on the piano. My name is Michael Weiss. Thanks for watching. I hope this was useful information for you. You can follow my activities and read a little bit about me through my website, which is michaelweiss.info. Please stay in touch. Thank you.